They say compounding is the eighth wonder of the world, the secret to getting rich while you sleep. You've heard it 1,000 times. Start early, invest consistently, reinvest your returns, and one day you'll wake up to a mountain of wealth. Sounds simple, right? But what if I told you that even if you do everything right, even if you start early, invest regularly, and wait patiently, you could still end up broke? That's not fear-mongering. That's the truth nobody talks about. See, compounding only works when you protect the base it's growing from. But most people are unknowingly sabotaging their own compounding journey. Every day, every week, every month, they do this one thing, this one habit that silently eats away at their gains. And the worst part, it doesn't feel dangerous. It feels normal, harmless, even rewarding in the short term. But over the years, it destroys everything compounding is trying to build for you. This isn't a math problem, it's a behavior problem. And unless you fix it, all the charts, all the projections, all the dreams of financial freedom, they'll never materialize. Because compounding is not a miracle. It's a machine. And like any machine, if you keep throwing sand in its gears, it won't work the way it should. So before you celebrate your long-term investment plan, before you rely on compounding to retire early or build wealth, you need to know this. In this video, I'm going to reveal the biggest threat to compounding that most people completely ignore. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Fix this, and compounding becomes your greatest ally. Ignore it, and even decades of saving won't be enough. Let's break it down. 1. Living paycheck to paycheck. No matter how much you invest, here's a harsh truth. You could be investing $500 a month religiously into a high-performing index fund, but if you're still living paycheck to paycheck, compounding alone won't rescue your financial future. Why? Because the real power of compounding doesn't lie just in putting money in, it lies in leaving money alone and adding more over time. But if every unexpected bill forces you to pull from your investments, you're not compounding. You're reversing the process. Let's say you've got a $10,000 portfolio growing at 8% annually. That sounds solid, right? But then your car breaks down. Emergency. You pull out $1,500. A medical bill hits next month. You dip in again. Over time, those just this once withdrawals are slashing your compounding runway. And the most dangerous part? This doesn't feel like mismanagement. It feels like survival. You tell yourself, at least I'm investing. But what you really need is margin, breathing room between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is where wealth truly grows. Think about it. If compounding is a fire, then your surplus income is the oxygen. No oxygen? The fire dies. Here's a stat that should shake you. Over 60% of Americans making over $100,000 a year still live paycheck to paycheck. It's not about how much you make, it's about what you keep, what you control, and what you let compound uninterrupted. So if you want to stop killing your compounding power before it even matures, your first mission is this. Break the paycheck to paycheck cycle. Build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Track your monthly burn rate. Cut lifestyle creep. Because without that margin, you're not investing. You're renting the illusion of progress. 2. Drowning in bad debt while hoping your investments outrun the interest. Here's the classic money contradiction. You're contributing $300 a month to your Roth IRA. Meanwhile, you're carrying a credit card balance of $7,000 at 22% interest. That's not financial strategy. That's financial whiplash. And yet so many people do this. Why? Because investing feels productive. It feels smart. It's the advice everyone hears. Start now, even if it's small. But here's the problem. If your debt is growing faster than your investments, compounding won't save you. It will drown you slower. Let's break this down with simple math. Say your index fund grows at 8% a year. That sounds great, but your credit card debt is charging you 22% a year. You're not building wealth. You're building a net loss machine. And here's where it gets scarier. The longer you ignore that high-interest debt, the deeper the hole becomes. That $7,000 balance could balloon to $14,000 in just a few years without you even adding a dime to it. It's like trying to fill a bathtub with the faucet on and the drain wide open. No matter how long you wait, it's not going to fill unless you plug the leak. Now, not all debt is equally toxic. A low-interest mortgage? Strategic, maybe. A student loan with a manageable rate? possibly worth carrying while investing. But credit card debt, payday loans, buy now, pay later traps, these are the real compounding killers. And the worst part, debt doesn't just hurt your wallet, it hurts your psychology. It steals your peace of mind. It makes you impatient. It tempts you to gamble with investments instead of playing the long game. And that leads to emotional decisions, panic selling, risky trades, or skipping contributions altogether. So if you're serious about letting compound interest do its job, there's no skipping this step. Eliminate the high-interest debt first. Attack it with everything. Use the snowball method, avalanche method, whatever keeps you consistent. Because once that debt is gone, every dollar you invest is finally free to grow, uninterrupted, untaxed by interest, unburdened. 3. Constantly chasing the next big thing, the compounding disruptor. Here's something nobody tells you about compounding. It doesn't work if you keep resetting the clock. Every time you jump from one investment to another, switching strategies, selling off your portfolio because something else looks hotter, you're not diversifying. You're disrupting. Let's say you start investing in a solid ETF today. After 12 months, you read about crypto exploding again. You panic sell the ETF, buy some altcoins. 2 months later, the market crashes, you bail out again. Then it's AI stocks, meme stocks, gold, real estate, rinse, repeat. Guess what you've actually done? You've chopped your compounding timeline into broken fragments. You never gave any asset time to mature. And time, not timing, is the secret ingredient in the compounding formula. Look at the legends of wealth. Warren Buffett didn't get insanely rich because he picked perfect stocks. He got rich because he stayed in the game for decades. He made 99% of his wealth after age 50. Why? Because he didn't pull up the roots of his investments every time a new opportunity showed up. Here's the hard truth. Switching investments constantly is often disguised fear. Fear of missing out, fear of not making fast money. But compounding isn't a fast game. It's painfully slow until it's not. It's like pushing a snowball down a hill. The first few feet, tiny gains, but leave it alone long enough. Let it roll uninterrupted. It becomes an avalanche. The cost of always chasing the next big thing isn't just transactional fees or taxes. It's lost momentum, lost time, lost trust in your own plan. So if you want compound interest to truly serve you, pick a long-term strategy and stick with it. Not blindly, not stubbornly, but faithfully, with patience and perspective. Because every time you change course, you're not investing. You're gambling in disguise. 4. Ignoring lifestyle inflation, the silent killer of compounding. Here's something dangerous. Making more money, but feeling poor. That's what lifestyle inflation does to you. Let's say you start earning $60,000. You live modestly, invest consistently, things are on track. Then you get a raise. Now it's $90,000. Instead of saving or investing the extra, you upgrade your apartment, finance a new car, start dining out more. Within a year, you're still living paycheck to paycheck, but with nicer stuff. Your income grew, your lifestyle ballooned, your investments flatlined. This is what lifestyle inflation does. It absorbs your compounding fuel. Every extra dollar that could have gone into the market to grow for 20 or 30 years, gone. Traded for an instant upgrade in comfort. Now look, I'm not saying don't enjoy your money. You should reward your hard work. But if your expenses rise in direct proportion to your income, you'll never feel rich. Because you're not building wealth, you're just building a more expensive routine. Here's the worst part. Lifestyle inflation is sneaky. It doesn't feel like a problem. In fact, it feels like progress. You tell yourself, I deserve this. And you probably do, but the market doesn't care what you deserve. It only rewards what you consistently contribute and leave alone. And if all your raises, bonuses, and windfalls are instantly consumed by your upgraded life, there's nothing left to compound. So what's the solution? Create a rule for yourself. Every time your income increases, keep your lifestyle at 80%. Invest the other 20%. It's called lifestyle lag, and it's one of the most powerful wealth habits out there. Because the truth is, compounding doesn't need you to be a genius. It just needs your money to stick around. And if you can avoid inflating your lifestyle every time your income grows, you'll find yourself owning assets instead of just upgrading expenses. 5. Neglecting financial education. Letting compounding work blindfolded. Here's something uncomfortable. You can't compound what you don't understand. And far too many people jump into investing, thinking time will magically fix everything, even if they have no idea what they're actually doing. Yes, compound interest is powerful. Yes, starting early is smart. But if you're investing blindly, throwing money into things you don't understand, copying trends from social media, or following hot tips from a Reddit thread, you're not investing. You're guessing. And guesswork kills compounding in two ways. First, it leads to poor decisions, overpaying for assets, buying into hype, or panicking during downturns. Second, it creates fear. When you don't understand what you own, every market dip feels like the end. So what do? You sell, you freeze, you abandon the plan. That's when compounding stops, not because it failed, but because you did. Think about this. The difference between someone who invests in a total stock market index fund with confidence and someone who jumps into 10 different assets just because they're trending is education. The first person may not have the flashiest portfolio, but they sleep well at night. They stay the course. They let time do the work. Meanwhile, the second person is constantly second-guessing, constantly switching strategies, constantly trying to time the market, and almost always losing. The fix? Start learning. Intentionally, read one book a month on personal finance or investing. Follow creators who focus on fundamentals, not hype. Understand terms like expense ratio, dollar cost averaging, market volatility. Because when you understand how money truly grows, you stop relying on luck and start relying on systems. And here's the secret. Financial education compounds too. The more you learn, the better your decisions. The better your decisions, the more consistent your results. And consistency is what turns small amounts into serious wealth over time. So ask yourself, are you investing based on knowledge or noise? Because compounding only works if the foundation is solid. Otherwise, you're just building a house of cards. 6. Being emotionally reactive, letting fear and greed steal your growth. Markets go up, markets go down. That's the game. But your response to those swings, that's the difference between long-term wealth and lifelong frustration. If you panic every time the market dips 10% or get greedy every time something pumps 40%, you're not an investor, you're a reactor. And compound interest doesn't reward emotional instability. Imagine this. You've been investing steadily for 5 years. The market crashes 20%. Your portfolio drops by thousands overnight. Fear kicks in. You think, I've worked too hard to lose this much. I'll just pull out now and get back in when it's safer. So you sell. But guess what? By the time you feel safe again, the market has already recovered. You missed the bounce. You locked in the loss. And you reset the compounding clock all over again. Now on the flip side, say the market is booming, crypto is exploding, AI stocks are doubling in weeks. You throw in money you can't afford to lose, you chase quick wins. That's not investing. That's gambling wrapped in optimism. Here's the truth. Emotion is the enemy of compounding because compounding isn't sexy. It doesn't care about hype, trends, or fear. It needs calm. It needs consistency. And most of all, it needs you to stay in, even when it feels terrifying. Some of the best investing returns in history came right after brutal crashes, but only the emotionally disciplined got to experience them. The rest sold low, bought back high, and blamed the market instead of themselves. So how do you build emotional resilience? Start by automating your investments. Remove yourself from the equation. Have a written plan for when the market drops, not just when it rises. Surround yourself with long-term thinkers, not panic pushers. Because in investing, the people who win aren't the ones who time the market perfectly. They're the ones who don't let their feelings ruin their future. 7. Underestimating the power of small increases. Sticking to stagnant contributions. You've probably heard the phrase, start small and stay consistent. It's true. But here's the part most people miss. If you stay too small for too long, you cheat yourself out of the full power of compounding. Let's say you've been contributing $100 a month for 5 years. That's great. You started, you built the habit, and you didn't stop. But you also never increased it. Meanwhile, your income went up. Your expenses leveled off. But that $100, still the same. This is where the silent killer creeps in, stagnation. Because compounding doesn't just reward time, it rewards increasing scale. When your investments grow and your contributions grow along with them, you trigger the real snowball effect. But if your deposits stay flat, you're capping your future without even realizing it. Think about this. If you had started with $100 per month at age 25, at 8% annual return, you'd have around $293,000 by age 65. But if you increase your monthly contributions by just 5% each year, barely noticeable, you'd end up with over $460,000. Same time frame, same rate, just a little more commitment. That's the hidden magic of increasing your contributions over time. It doesn't feel like much in the moment, but compounding multiplies every extra dollar you add. The problem is, most people treat their investment amount like a fixed bill. They set it and forget it, but not in a good way. They forget to grow with it, to scale with their own progress. And here's the mindset shift. Don't wait until you're making real money to increase your investments. Start increasing now, even if it's $10 extra per month, because that habit built now becomes unstoppable when your income really jumps. Let's be honest, most people can't out-earn poor habits, but the few who steadily increase what they invest, no matter how small the bump, end up outrunning people who made way more, but didn't stay consistent or scale up. So ask yourself, when was the last time you raised your contributions? And if your income has grown, why hasn't your future? Because every time you don't raise your investment with your income, you're choosing comfort over compounding. And wealth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from deliberate, scaled sacrifice. So now you know, compounding isn't some magical formula that saves everyone equally. It rewards the patient, but it punishes the careless. It builds wealth, but only if you stop draining its momentum. The truth is, it's not the market that breaks most people. It's the small habits, the overspending, the debt juggling, the emotional decisions, the lack of learning, the refusal to scale. Tiny cracks that slowly kill the power of compounding while we keep thinking we're doing the right thing. But here's the good news. Every one of these mistakes is fixable. You can stop living paycheck to paycheck. You can kill high-interest debt. You can stop chasing trends and commit to a real plan. You can resist lifestyle inflation. You can invest in your financial education. You can master your emotions. And yes, you can start increasing what you invest little by little from this month forward. Because compound interest isn't just a formula, it's a partnership. It does the heavy lifting, but only if you hold up your end of the deal. So if this video gave you that wake-up call, good. That's what it was meant to do. Don't just watch these videos, act on them. Audit your habits, adjust your plan. Because it's not just about investing money, it's about becoming someone who compounds in every area of life. Thanks for watching. And if you're serious about building real, long-term wealth, the kind that's quiet, steady, and unstoppable, then don't just hit subscribe. Make sure your habits are subscribed too.